Okie dokie. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Lawpath webinar. Build from the ground up your first 90 days in business. My name is Joel Comerford, and I will be your host today. It's great to see so many founders, operators, and early stage business owners joining us live. And if you've been looking at the chat, obviously we're over here in Sydney. And if anyone else is in Sydney today, please by all means, be close to a pool, cold water, or an air conditioner because it is going to be hot. Now, before we dive in, a quick intro to Lawpath for those of you who are new. We are Australia's leading online legal platform, helping over 600,000 small businesses start, grow, and stay compliant. We make legal simple, from registering your company to creating essential contracts to connecting you with lawyers and accountants on demand, all in one platform. Think of us as your legal team on subscription without the traditional price tag. Now, today's topic, your first 90 days in business, is all about building strong legal and operational foundations early. The first 3 months we found of any business is crucial. It's where habits, systems, and compliance practices are usually set for an extended period of time. A few smart steps early on can save thousands later on fines, disputes, or missed opportunities. And if anyone within the attendance list today has suffered within their first 3 months, trial by fire, please go ahead and throw it in the chat. We'd be interested to get your perspective, and if you're happy to relay any feedback or information for the newbies, you might be able to save somebody a lot of money. So to help unpack today's session, we've got two brilliant speakers joining us. One who is new, who I'm looking very forward to introducing. But first of all, let's start with Mash. Mash Shan, or Mash as he likes to be known, is one of our commercial lawyers here at Lawpath Legal. He works closely with founders and growing businesses. He specializes in business structuring, employment law, IP protection, and so much more, and helps clients set up trusts and holding companies to manage risk and protect assets. With a background in finance and strategy, Mash's advice is practical and commercially sharp, exactly what early stage founders need. Now, our second guest is very fresh and very new to not just the webinars, but also Lawpath itself. Alex Dam is a startup lead over at APAC at Notion. Now, Notion is an online application that Lawpath have been using for a fair bit of time. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll let Alex explain that. But Alex leads growth marketing and partnerships over at Notion, helping startups across Asia Pacific build scalable systems. He works with founders, accelerators, and VCs to help early stage teams adopt Notion as their AI-powered workspace, while streamlining everything from onboarding to operations. So if that does sound like something for you new starters, sounds like something that might help your business and keep things on track, then certainly Alex is the person to listen to and take feedback from today. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Now, what will we cover today? Together with Mash and Alex, we will walk through how to get your business registered right, whether it's an ABN structure, domain and compliance, ABN, ACN, whatever it may be, partnership. Lock in your essential legal documents from service agreements to website policies. How to use Notion to stay organized, centralize your systems, and set up a business wiki. And also to automate and connect your tools so admin and compliance don't eat your week up. We'll also finish with a live Q&A. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the Q&A box there, and we will get to those at the end of the session. And don't forget, everyone attending today will have access to our partner offers through Xero or MyOb, as well as discounts on our legal, accounting, and tax plans as well, which I will go into details later. And one last note, guys, if you are new, we will share an email after the webinar today with today's session and a YouTube link, the slides, as well as everything else I've just mentioned. So without further ado, I will go ahead and pass this over to Mash. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joel. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone can hear me. So, why the first 90 days matter? So, the first 90 days matter because of three key points. Mistakes early can cost you, laws protect both sides, and hiring brings legal risk. So, point one, mistakes early on can really cost you. In my work with new founders, the biggest pain points almost always trace back to something they could have fixed in the first 90 days. I've seen contractors who were actually employees, triggering back pay and super issues. I've seen software developers walk away with my client's IP because no one clarified ownership. And the worst one, two lifelong friends starting a partnership without a proper agreement. It went south and they lost both the business and the friendship. So when we say mistakes can cost you, we mean time, money, and peace of mind. Point two, laws can protect both sides. I like to remind everyone and all the founders here that laws are not here to just punish. They're designed to protect both sides, ensuring that people are treated fairly and that your business is protected from claims or unfair expectations. When you understand these protections, you can use the law strategically and not fear them. And number three, hiring brings legal risk. Hiring is one of the biggest early risks for any business owner, even if it's just one casual employee or a contractor. Each relationship brings obligations under fair work, taxation, and work health and safety. Getting those details right from the outset avoids penalties and disputes down the line. So remember, your first 90 days sets the tone. The systems, habits, and structures that you build early on will determine how smoothly you can scale your business later. It's not about perfection, it's just about direction and getting a solid start. Next slide, please. Getting your registrations right. So now you've decided that you're going to start your own business. It's time to get the registrations. So that's what makes it real. Registrations connect your business legally and digitally. Australian Business Register, Australian Securities and Investment Commission, Australian Tax Office, this acronym, that acronym. You would have heard a bunch of government agencies and a bunch of acronyms. And you also have to worry about your website and your email domain. You have to remember that all of these agencies, your email domain name, and your website need to all speak the same language. This is how you look legitimate to clients, banks, and investors. Next slide, please. So this is a big one, choosing your right structure. So you know that you want to get into business, and now you need to determine what structure to choose. The way I like to explain is that your structure controls your risk, your tax, and your flexibility. A sole trader structure is great for freelancers. It's simple, it's cheap. But remember that you are the business. If something goes wrong, they can come after your personal assets. Company is a better fit once you start growing or you're taking on more risk. So you're either working in a high risk industry from the onset or you're taking on risk in a lower risk industry. This means that the business is separate from you from a legal perspective. Yes, it's more complex, but you gain way more protection and credibility as well. And then we have partnership. This works if you have two or more partners, but remember that it's joint liability. So if your partner signs a bad deal, you're both on the hook. My advice in terms of structuring is you should start as a sole trader if you're in a low risk industry, and then work your way up to a company once you start generating steady revenue or hiring more employees. Next slide, please. So let's say you've decided on your structure. Now what? To keep things simple, this is a general flow in terms of next steps, and we've tried to keep it agnostic of the different business structure that you could have chosen. Naturally, there will be some differences between a company and a sole trader. So, in terms of your flow, you get your ABN first. It's your legal identifier. You can't invoice without it. You can't really go into business without it. After that, you register your business name with ASIC. So, you might have an ABN. You've decided to go down a sole trader path. That ABN is linked to your full name. If you want to trade as something else, you need to register that business name separately. And that business name is your public face, it's your brand. You can also consider trademarking at this point. It's something to talk to your lawyer about because you might not have the finances just yet or your idea completely thought through. After you have your ABN and business name, it's time to grab a domain name. Ideally, you want this to match your business name, so some often do it beforehand because domain name availabilities are limited. Because remember, your business name and your domain name should be the same because consistency builds trust. Another point to remember, especially if you're looking at a .com.au domain name, is that you do need to have an ABN first. So the steps, yes, it's a linear step in this slide, but it does vary quite a lot depending on the facts. So yeah, next slide, please. Now moving on to the compliance must-haves. This slide is your checklist for staying out of trouble. Again, we've kept this high level and to be applicable for most business structures. So on the legal side, we have a number of must-haves. You should register your structure properly with the right government bodies. If it's an ABN, make sure you have an ABN. If you're getting a company, make sure you register a company and then you get the ABN for the company. Keep records of key business decisions when it happens. So you will see that it says contemporaneous records. What that means is that if you agree to take on a partner or sign a lease, note it down when it happens, not a few weeks later or a few months later. Another must-have is keep your contracts and policies in one place, ideally in Notion, a productivity tool, or a central folder. You can also consider trademarking your brand at this point, and you should also look at business insurances. It's not just for your protection, it also gives you credibility when dealing with the other side. From a tax perspective, these are the few key compliance must-haves. Open a business bank account. Keep your personal and business spending entirely separate. Make sure you use accounting software to track your finances accurately. Register for GST if your turnover will be over $75,000. If you're paying wages, including wages to yourself, not just to an employee, make sure that you register for PAYG withholding and you set up single touch payroll. And finally, please, please, please track your deadlines. The ATO does not take kindly to missed lodgements and they will penalize you faster than you think. Next slide, please. So by now, we have the compliance must-haves. Now it's time to move on to essential legal documents. Think of this as your legal armor. Your contracts are your playbook. They protect your time, your money, and your reputation. I've seen clients spend $1,000 fixing a contract and save them $10,000 in a potential dispute. And I've also seen clients not pay the $500 for a review, and then they come back to me on the hook to pay a $50,000 invoice. So please think of contracts as an investment, not an expense. Next slide. Before we go into these essential legal documents, let's cover contract must-haves. If you only remember one thing from today's webinar, it's this: every good contract answers who, what, when, how, and what if. And let's break this down. Number one, parties and engagement terms. Who is involved, what's being done, and when does it start? Number two, payment and invoicing. When and how are you going to be paid, whether it's hourly, per project, or milestone based? Number three, confidentiality and IP ownership. This is a big one. Who owns the works that are created? If you don't clarify it properly, it defaults to the creator, not you. Number four, termination and notice. How either side can end this agreement. Don't wait until it's too late to find out how to end something or whether you terminated correctly. And number five, signatures and acknowledgements. This one seems super obvious. Obviously, we know that, contracts need to be signed, but you'll be surprised to see how many unsigned contracts I see as a top reason around my clients losing disputes. Next slide, please. So yeah, by now we know what a contract is. Let's go through the essentials that you need. Think of this as your survival kit. Three key areas: agreements for products or services, website documents, and hiring documents. Agreements for products or services. Whether you're selling or you're buying, you must have agreements in place. Have a clear scope, timelines, and payments. Basically, how the parties are going to get paid and what the parties get in return for payment. Website documents. Your website terms and conditions and privacy policy. Website T's and C's cover how users engage with your website. A privacy policy covers how you collect, use, and store data, and this is required for businesses with a turnover of above $3 billion or collecting personal information. And hiring documents. Whether you hire an employee or contractor, you need clarity around roles, duties, confidentiality, and payment. Next slide. Now let's go a bit deeper into the legal documents for your website. Your website isn't just a marketing tool. It's a part of your business footprint, and the level of detail you need in your legal documents depends on how you use that site. You will see that the slide mentions website T's and C's, and here's the nuance. Website T's and C's vary quite a lot between businesses. If your website is simple, it's brand new, and it's most likely just acting like a billboard, which means that clients read about your business and what you do, and then they contact your number off the website and they pay you off the website. Your terms and conditions can stay fairly simple. You just outline acceptable use, copyright disclaimers, and general limitations. However, if you're running a fully self-serve website where customers can buy online, they can make bookings, and they can manage subscriptions, your website T's and C's need to be a lot more encompassing. They must cover things like payment, delivery or cancellation, refunds, dispute resolution, termination, and liability limits. So think of your website terms and conditions as a scalable piece where the more functionality your website has, the more comprehensive the terms need to be. And now, privacy policy. A privacy policy is a requirement if your turnover is over $3 million or if you collect personal data. It needs to explain exactly what data you collect, how it's stored, and how the users can request access or deletion. So these are your website documents. You need to regularly review them and make sure that you update them at least once a year, or at any time you change your marketing stack, your software integrations, or you shift your business model. And if you're going to expand overseas, you need to look into local regulations. For example, in the EU, you also need to consider GDPR compliance. And a simple but often missed pro tip, always think about linking these documents in your website footer so they're easy to find. It's one of those little details that signals professionalism and builds trust. Next slide, please. So by now, we know what a contract is and what the essential agreements are and their importance. And you also know website T's and C's and privacy policy. Now let's move on to hiring. Hiring is super exciting. That means that your business is growing enough for you to hire either a contractor or an employee, but it's also one of the biggest compliance risks for new businesses. So here's your checklist when you're hiring someone. Employee or contractor. Whether it's an employee or a contractor, make sure you have the right agreement in place. And in that agreement, make sure that you have targeted bespoke agreements for each employee or contractor that covers their specific duties, their specific pay, and other common clauses such as confidentiality, IP, and termination. Another point to note here is make sure that you don't treat someone as a contractor when they should really be an employee and vice versa. Often you might see someone that wants to work under their ABN because they get a higher hourly rate. But if you are treating them like an employee, but they signed a contract saying they're a contractor, you might be on the hook for sham contracting, which will mean back pay, superannuation, and penalties. Other things to consider include a position description where you set clear role expectations, responsibilities, and reporting, fair work information statement, which is mandatory for every new employee in Australia, workplace policies. These are internal policies for you to have in your business. So think of it this way. These are rules of engagement for your employees and your contractors and how they work with your business. Major policies include code of conduct, leave, bullying, and harassment. Tax and super forms. Set up PAYG, tax file numbers, and super contributions properly. You should speak with your bookkeeper or your accountant for more advice on this. And contractor invoice template. So make sure that if you're hiring contractors and they're invoicing you, you make sure that they invoice you correctly and make sure that their invoice has their ABN. Next slide, please. So when to seek legal advice. So obviously now you know you have a toolkit and you understand the must-haves, but when should you go to a lawyer? You shouldn't go to a lawyer all the time. Not every agreement needs a lawyer, but the high risk ones do. You should definitely get advice when you're signing with investors, suppliers, or partners. There's significant money or intellectual property involved, or you're developing something unique like software, content, or products. A short 30-minute legal consult can save you from months of pain later. Think of it like getting your car checked out before going on a long road trip. Cool. Next slide. So by now, you know the essentials. Now let's see how we can be productive in your business. So automating your legal systems. You've built your foundation. Now let's make compliance automatic so it runs quietly in the background. At this point, you have your legal and operation systems in place. The next step is automation. Make sure that compliance doesn't depend on your memory or a sticky note on your desk. The goal here is to have your systems quietly handling the repetitive tasks while you focus on growth. Start by creating once and reusing often. Use Lawpath templates for contracts, NDAs, and policies. You can clone and adapt them in seconds. This saves hours each time you hire someone new, onboard a new contractor, or sign a new client. Next, set up smart reminders. Compliance isn't just about doing things once, it's about staying on top of renewals and deadlines. Create a simple compliance tracker in Notion or Google Sheets that lists renewal dates for things like company registrations, trademarks, or insurance. Then connect those dates to automated reminders in Notion or Google Calendar so you never miss a deadline. Automate signatures and storage too. With Lawpath's e-sign workflows, you can send and sign legally binding documents instantly. No printing, scanning, or chasing people up. Once they have signed, label and file them by client or category for easy retrieval later. Finally, connect your tools. Lawpath integrates with Notion, Gmail, and CRM, so when you have a contract that's signed, it can automatically trigger a new task, update your CRM, or notify your team. This reduces manual follow-ups, eliminates version confusion, and keeps everyone aligned. By automating these small but critical tasks, compliance becomes something that happens in the background, not something you're constantly chasing. It's how you stay organized and protected without adding more to your to-do list. Next slide, please. Yep, so your startup productivity kit. So when you have, as long as you have the right tools in place, you can keep your business compliant, efficient, and connected. So Lawpath will help you manage your legal documents and compliance. Notion will centralize your operations and team collaboration. Xero, MYOB, or other accounting tools will handle finances and accounting. And Canva and Google Workplace will support daily operations and marketing. And, all in all, together, these tools will help you build a better, more productive business, and Lawpath will help you stay legally compliant. Now, I will throw to Alex.
All right. That was awesome, Mash. Thank you very much. Hey, everyone. My name is Alex. I am the startup market lead for APAC at Notion. What that actually means is my whole job is to get more startups to use Notion and more small businesses to use Notion. We've just expanded into the region. Maybe if you can tell by the accent, I am from New Zealand, so I'm over in Sydney for a little bit. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how to build a central connected workspace that grows with you and how to actually do that with Notion. So for all of you that maybe do not know what Notion is, what the heck is it? So we really set out in 2016 to solve this issue of tool sprawl. As you know, a lot of companies use a lot of software tools to get their work done, so much so that you start having tool sprawl. You have a bunch of tools that maybe do the same thing. You have a bunch of subscriptions where you're paying a bunch of money for each of them, and each of them are point solutions. So they only really do one thing. Maybe they do it well, but it's one thing that doesn't really talk to all of your other systems. We did some internal research where the number of SaaS applications per company is increasing year on year. From 2020, some companies had 80 tools that they were managing, all the way to now that they have 130 plus tools in 2022 and onwards. People are adopting more tools as we go about our time. And now we have this AI revolution coming, where there are some really fancy and pretty and sexy tools out there that can promise the world. But that means that there's even more tool sprawl, where you're now adopting even more tools that don't connect to things just because they're really shiny. So here's some little details of what we've been hearing from some of our customers. Number one being that it's a requirement to integrate AI tools into your existing processes. So if you're really doing something, how do we embed AI into it to be able to make that process more efficient or your workflow automated? It's around tracking the metrics that are most pertinent to you as a business owner. It's around planning and managing project information and keeping all projects in one place. And then it's also about collaborating, because we are not one person. Maybe we start off as one or two people, but then we grow a team and we need to have a multiplayer system to do our work with our team, maybe sometimes asynchronously as well, where you have team members over in different countries and different time zones. I myself have a lot of colleagues in San Francisco. And so they're a day behind, but also my mornings are their afternoons. And so sometimes we just can't hop on a simple call together. We have to be able to work asynchronously with each other to get stuff done. We also need a way to visualize and structure all of the information that we have. We have both qualitative data like metrics, hard metrics, data, return on ad spend, whatever. But then we also have qualitative data as well. So some of the blog content that we write, or some of the meeting notes that we capture whenever we have a sales call or a partnership call, or even an internal meeting. All of that is qualitative data that has to be captured somewhere. We also want to automate the most repetitive tasks and workflows. No one wants to do low leverage work. Like, the main things as a small business owner or a startup is that you should be focused on the most important things, which are building your product and then selling it. So all of the other stuff, all the other the fluff, you want to automate that away and make sure that you're not focused on that, and you can focus on the highest priority thing at that point in time. Maybe you grow a team and you also have standard operating procedures and templates that you want to build, because you want those docs to be shareable to the rest of your team. And so that they can say, if you have a new hire that you've just onboarded, they have all of the information right there to go for you. So there's creating and sharing documents, file management and all that stuff. And then obviously email and calendar. So this is what we're hearing. So what does Notion do about it? Our vision is to be the Lego of software, where you have all of these building blocks in one malleable piece of software or tool where you can kind of plug and play, like put a block in, take a block out whenever you want to fit your specific use case. So here's what we're also hearing is that as a business owner, you have a bunch of maybe research reports overdue that you have to procure and maybe send to an investor to do market analysis. Maybe you just have a bunch of meetings. You have a bunch of prospecting calls with your customers. You have existing customer meetings. You have partnership meetings. You have internal meetings with the team, maybe one-on-ones, all of the, and maybe it isn't documented. The other thing is you can't find your metrics. Maybe it lives in like a scattergun of Excel spreadsheets or Google Sheets. So what we've done is we've put AI to the task and created this AI workspace that works for you. How does this even work? So we've actually created some new features literally this year, I would say 3 months ago, where we've now introduced this thing called enterprise search, where Notion can connect to all of the existing tools that you already use, whether it be Slack, whether it be Google Drive, your email, even PDF files. And we've taken Notion AI and connected it to all these tools so that it has context on what you already do and your existing business. For example, you maybe have a conversation in Slack with Mash, for example. I could be having a conversation about with Mash around what I ate yesterday at dinner. I could have that conversation, but maybe I don't want to go into Slack and context switch from another system, from Notion to another system. Instead, I can just be in Notion the entire time. I can just ask a question to enterprise search and be like, what did I speak with Mash about yesterday? And it will give me that answer. But as an example, you could do this across GitHub, across Jira, and across a myriad of other tools like Linear as well. Because meetings are the bane of my existence, I have a lot, and I absolutely despise meeting notes in terms of writing them down. The way I get around this is we've created this thing called AI meeting notes, where it lives within your Notion page and your Notion environment, but it can listen, transcribe, and summarize all of the meetings that you have, regardless of if you're having meetings across Microsoft Teams, Google Meets, and Zoom as well. And then it captures all of this information and houses it from within Notion. I'll show you a little bit of this later on. We also created research mode, where you can create detailed reports all from within Notion, and you can connect Notion to the internet as well. So it can go onto the internet, take some facts, combine it with your existing data within Notion that's housed there, and then generate these really rich insight reports so that you can share around to either your customers and or your investors if you're a startup. Literally a month ago, we launched Notion Agent as well, where it does the work for you. So taking a step back, we had the building blocks necessary to be able to chop and change and add some stuff. So if you wanted a block around, if you wanted to add a table, you could. If you wanted to add a meeting notes, you could. However, you still had to do the work. You still had to populate the information in a Notion page. Now we've created Notion Agent, which essentially does that for you with a single prompt, where it can add data from your different systems. It can edit and format and structure different pages. Say if you wanted to change the headers of all of the headings in this one page, you can just ask it to change it and it will. So it's incredibly powerful and it saves you a lot of time in some of the more monotonous workflows that you have. All within Notion as well. I'm assuming that all of you know how to use ChatGPT or have at least tried it. But some of the more premium features, you have to purchase a license. So what we've actually done in Notion is we've aggregated all of the large language models that are on market, like Claude, like GPT, like Gemini, and we've put that all within Notion. So you can use every single one of them in Notion with the same price point. We also have Notion AI, which, depending on the prompt, prioritizes which model to use based on the prompt. As an example, we're used by some of the fastest growing startups and companies in history. From Cursor to OpenAI uses us, who are almost like the leaders in this space, but we're also used by fast growing companies like Deal and Ramp and Wiz as well. If this all sounds pretty crazy to you, we also have a marketplace of pre-made templates. So we have this entire library of startup in a box templates so that you can just go on Notion's website. They're free to use. You can download templates and use them off the shelf if you did not want to build anything yourself. For example, if you're a marketing person and you'd like to build a content calendar, but you don't know where to start, you can just go on Notion's website and marketplace and search up content calendar. You can just download that and use it straight away. Awesome. Let's go to some demo times. So I wanted to build something interactively with you all today, where we were talking about building a business wiki, but also creating systems and workflows to help you. So let's go back out here. Awesome. So we're in a Notion environment here. This is just Notion on the web. You can go in here, and this is an existing page in Notion. You're able to edit and add different types of formatting options, all from within this / button. I've just generated a prompt here that I can just copy and paste, saying, create me a business wiki on this current page. Each header should be a page on its own so that I can click into it and include content within each page. Excuse me. This current page should be clean and easily navigatable for new hires. So let's copy that and then let's ask Notion AI down here. I've named mine the Bro because I am from New Zealand and everyone calls each other Bro. And I've also added a little duck hat on them, but you can personalize your Notion agent to do whatever. It's Halloween season too, so maybe I'll give him a pumpkin head. So let's copy and paste this prompt and then press enter and let's see what it does. So what Notion agent will do is take that prompt and take all of the existing building blocks that Notion has access to and literally build the system for you. So if you want a business wiki, then you can build that within Notion with a single prompt. Instead of starting on a blank slate, you're able to use a prompt to generate the specific use case you want. You can imagine that this would fit with creating a basic lightweight CRM to track customers. You could use it to create a content calendar so that you're tracking the amount of blogs that you're pumping out to your website. You can do it for a bunch of stuff. So as you can see, Notion AI is building the pages for you. And then it also makes a wiki for you. So you have your product, your sales organization, IT security, your policies as well. Something like Mash mentioned before, where you can now embed all of your policies and documents all in one place. You can have almost like a start here if you're a new hire onboarding. And this is completely customizable. So everything about this can be changed with a single prompt to fit your business needs. It doesn't have to be laid out like this. You can format it however you want. You can also change the headers. So maybe I don't care about IT and security, which I definitely should. But yeah, you can change this as well and go into it. There's a bunch of templates, but you can also create different templates with a single prompt as well. So following on from that, let's have a look. If we maybe say fill in each of these pages with sample data, just to give you an example of how that would look. I'm going to mute my mic because tapping on the screen would sound like I'm literally destroying my laptop, but give me 1 second. So I've just done a prompt that says fill each page with sample data. So let's see what it does. So it's thinking in its head. It's now showing you what it is exactly doing in your Notion workspace. So every type of workflow, every type of job to be done is now recordable. And so you have now an audit log to see what Notion is actually doing. Sometimes you don't, like it does something that you don't want it to do, and then you can always retrace your steps. And the best part is you can undo each thing that you, or each change that you have made. So as it's going, it's now updating each page with sample data just to show you what it would look like. For example, if you're a business owner, you have set up an ABN, you have a bunch of policies and maybe sales contracts, you can now add that within. So if we go into people and policies, it started to add some sample data as well. Customer success, it's added some sample data. So that's one example of how to set up a business wiki in Notion to house all of your knowledge all in one place so that it's searchable. Maybe I am a new hire and I don't necessarily know where to start. I could create as the founder of a business, I could create a new onboarding page, or if I'm a new hire, I can just direct that new hire to Notion AI over here. And this is an example of enterprise search, where you're able to search across your entire workspace for specific pages. Maybe you can ask it, where was that policy around security? And then it will link back to that existing page and reference the link as well. The other thing is you're able to connect Notion AI to the internet. And again, you're able to connect it to your existing tool stack as well. One thing that's really important to me is meetings, of course. You're able to actually record, transcribe all of your meetings like I showed before. But in practice, that actually just looks as simply as adding a little meeting notes block. And you're able to press play and transcribe all of your meetings all in one place. And then they're all referenceable, which is the most important thing. Is maybe you have a bunch of meetings and excuse me, and you actually want to ask questions of that workspace, being like, well, what did I talk with Mash about yesterday on this call? And if the transcript is housed in Notion, it will be able to be referenced. So that automates your workflow a lot, saves you a bunch of time sifting through information, and just gets you the answers that you need so that you can go and do the things that you need to do. The other part is around systems and workflows. So at the bane of a business, you have projects and things that you need to do. You need a way to manage your tasks. But then, yeah, you also have meetings. So I've drafted up a quick sample prompt here, but again, you can customize your prompt to fit whatever your need is. I can just copy and paste this prompt in Notion AI, Pumpkinhead guy, and then I can say, create this in here, and I press enter, and it will start building the solution for me. So instead of downloading and using a bunch of tools that do each individual thing, you have a complete holistic system all in one tool so that you just live in that one tool. You don't have to context switch. You don't have to pay for multiple licenses of things. This is all included in this one Notion license, including the AI usage as well. So now it's thinking of how to build the system. It might take a while because it's a pretty hefty task of creating projects databases, task databases, meetings, but then also connecting them. That's the important thing with Notion AI, is that it's able to also reference one database to another. So connecting this project to, say, a task within that project, and maybe having meetings about this specific task. And so everything can be connected within Notion as well. Before you had to do this manually, and now we've really embedded AI into this workflow so that it's part of your team. It's almost like an assistant that does the stuff for you instead of you having to do it for yourself. Because we're all resource constrained at the end of the day, and maybe you're a small team and you don't have anyone doing this for you. And so Notion AI can do that for you. Okay, for an example, it's building the bare bones of this. It's creating projects. It's allocating owners to these projects and end dates. It's also linking the meetings. So maybe I'm having specific meeting about Project Gamma. So you can now link that meeting to this particular project. You can assign tasks to that project as well. See Project Gamma, Rise Chicken. It's connected at all in one place. But again, this is sample information. You're able to connect your own calendar to this, your own meeting notes to this, all from within Notion. And each of these little rows and columns and data points can all be edited as well. So that is pretty much all I had to talk about today around showcasing how you can use prompts within Notion to create a full system that you can then use and scale within your business. So thank you very much, and I'm going to pass it over to Mash.
Thanks, Alex. Super, super insightful. And for our audience, it's not just the productivity lens as well. So with the onboarding checklist that Alex was alluding to, this gives you traceability that your employee that you've hired has actually seen your internal policies and they've acknowledged that they've read it. So imagine a world where you just print out the policies and you give it to them on their first day, they take it home, leave it on the couch, leave it behind the couch, whatever, dog ate it. 6 months, a year later, you want to, now that employee has violated a policy of yours. Let's say it was a conflict of interest policy. So you approach the employee saying that they've violated your internal conflict of interest policy, but because there is no traceability that they have even seen that policy, it's going to be very hard for you to dismiss them for violating a policy that they've never seen, that they don't know about, because they'll just say, I don't know what you're talking about. However, if this was done through Notion, then very easily there's the traceability there. The employee saw it, he ticked the acknowledgement, and that means you can now discipline the employee as required. So yeah, not just productivity, but also legal compliance as well. So moving on, yeah, Alex, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I wanted to jump in as
Yeah.
well because we also I wanted to show you something we actually created with Lawpath as
Oh,
well, which
sure.
is this business formation toolkit. We took all of the templates and some of the use cases from within Notion and some of the policies and stuff that Lawpath does, and we put it all into a template pre-built. So if we click here, we can actually see this template in action. You're able to duplicate this template as well if you use Notion. And as a business, you have new onboarding, you have projects and tasks, meetings. We created this all for you so that you can download it off the shelf. We will send this to you afterwards, as Joel mentioned in the email afterwards. But I just wanted to quickly showcase like what you can actually do. And this is a resource that we both built together to help you scale. So thank you, Mesh.
Cool. Thanks, Alex. Let's jump back to the recap slide. Next slide, sorry. Yep, one more. Thanks. So yeah, look everyone. So by now you've learned how to build a solid legal foundation and you've also learned about the productivity tools. So let's recap your first 90 days, what it's meant to look like. So in your first month, you should get your paperwork in order. Make sure your ABN, business name, and any required licenses are sorted before you start trading. It shows professionalism and it saves you headaches later on down the track when you're trying to set up a bank account or applying for finance. In the next stage, you focus on getting organized. Open up a separate business bank account and start recording income and expenses properly from day one. Use a single system like Lawpath and Notion to store your contracts, receipts, and key decisions. Have everything in one place and keep yourself audit ready so that you can clarify what you need to do, so you can clarify when you need to find something quickly. As your business gains momentum, you tighten your foundations. Every agreement, whether with a supplier, freelancer, or employee, you should have clear written terms covering scope, payment, and ownership of work. Then you can set reminders for key compliance dates such as BAS, ASIC renewal, and insurance reviews. These are simple admin steps that can help prevent costly oversights. So yeah, by this point, you should have a good system in place. You should have the good tools in place to really help your business grow efficiently and confidently, and ultimately make sure that your business remains compliant. Cool. Thanks, Alex. Next slide. And yeah, look, now that we've gotten the full 90-day roadmap, now let's just see what the what the key things we should focus on. So lay your key legal foundations, register your business correctly. Next, you track your key deadlines. Compliance doesn't stop after the setup. You have to have renewals in place, tax compliance issues, BAS dates, everything in mind. And then you systemize from the start. Create repeatable processes using templates and automation. It will save you hours later and build consistency as you scale. Leverage expert tools like Lawpath from your legal essentials and Notion for team collaboration. Together, they will be your core stack and keep you legal, organized, and efficient. And finally, centralize your knowledge and think long term. Keep your legal, financial, and operational information in one workspace. Your first 90 days isn't just about getting started, they're about setting the tone for sustainable business growth. Have the strong foundations now, and you can scale confidently and adapt as you grow. That's all from me. I'll pass on to Joel. And next slide.
Excellent. Wonderful, guys. Thank you so much, Mash and Alex, for the incredible session. Hopefully everyone, I know most people in the attendees in the audience list right now weren't likely expecting something like that, but over here at Lawpath, we like to share with you guys what works for us. We've been using Notion for a while and it's been absolutely amazing. So we obviously want to share the love, and hopefully you've taken something important from today, and maybe you might be able to integrate it now or later on down the line if you are a new business. So we've covered a lot today, from getting your business registered, locking in key documents, to setting up your Notion workspace so compliance and productivity happen automatically in the background. Now, before we do wrap up, however, and go into the questions, I'd love to know who here has been operating less than 12 months. If anyone within the chat wants to say yes, you obviously don't have to divulge too much about what you've got going on. But if you are in a bit of a pickle, or you feel like there's just more that you could be doing, but you've likely made mistakes along the way and you just want to avoid that, but that might be hindering your growth, feel free to let me know. I'd be more than happy to arrange free legal consultation for you, or a free accounting consultation, some services we provide our webinar guests, where we can help shine a little bit of light and hopefully put you on the right track as well. Now, in relation to how Lawpath can help you, because everything we've covered today is around contracts, registration, structuring, and compliance checks, there's always more to do. So we have multiple plans through Lawpath. First plan is our document library, which we like to refer to as the Essentials plan. Now, we've taken most of our products and we've split them up because some people have a lawyer already, but they don't have the documents, or they don't want to pay a lawyer too much for the documents, the usual commercial fees, or someone has documents pre-existing, but they want them to be checked. They don't want to be audited 24/7. Maybe they don't want to deal with something in relation to fair work if you are hiring employees for the first time. So we've got something for everyone. The Essentials library is a document library of about 554 documents, and we've got everything from service agreements, employee contracts, privacy policies, website terms and conditions, NDAs, intellectual property, share, company, Div 7As. We've got wills if you want a will. We've got it all in there, all pre-written as a template, and they're very much up to date. If you feel like you understand contracts well and you can yourself navigate the currents of legislation and rules, then you would benefit from this library. You could just take a document, add what you need to add, name, dates, time, requirements, and then you should likely have a legally binding document. Over here at Lawpath, we understand that contractual law isn't rocket science. You yourself aren't dumber than the lawyer, but obviously it pays to have someone review what you're doing to make sure that you have overlooked it, or with the changes to legislation or whatever it may be, according to nation or state, you have a professional who knows exactly what needs to go within that contract. Because what we're getting day in and day out is clients overlooking certain terms and leaving huge gaps within contractual law, which obviously doesn't always turn out well. So adjacent to our document library, which comes with the e-sign feature and all this other wonderful stuff for starting out with a business, we have our legal advice. You could be speaking to someone like Mash if you wished. What we like to do is bring on lawyers and accountants from our teams so you can actually speak to those people who you would likely be speaking to every day. You get a feel for how they communicate, the kind of information they relay, et cetera, et cetera. So Mash is one of our most prominent and popular lawyers over here at Lawpath. Obviously, I mentioned earlier what he specializes in, but generally, if you were to create any kind of contract or document and you wanted it reviewed, you could hop on a call with Mash or one of his associates, 30 minutes a day, whenever you wish, for 12 months. That's how most of our plans work. And in this time, the lawyer can help you break down anything you don't know. If you don't know what you don't know, so if you start out and you say, hey, look, I've got a document library and the legal advice, I don't even know where to begin. You can just tell Mash, this is the nature of my business. This is what I'm doing now, and this is what I'm likely doing moving forward. This is my demographic that I work with. This is the clientele that I would like to be working with. Maybe I want to hire employees, whatever it may be. You can have these conversations and Mash can guide you from there. What kind of contracts you need, helping you review them to make sure they're legally compliant, showing you what you'll need to build out your own contracts, taking on employment for the first time, HR related issues, protecting your IP, protecting your reputation, protecting the best interests of your clients. All of this is covered within the legal advice plan. Now, moving on to that, if you yourself have legal, if you have your documents, but you don't have your accounting in order, we do have our accounting advice plans. Both of them are split up. Some people are lucky enough to find an accountant who will do your bookkeeping, your tax, and your BAS. But most of the time, you've got a bookkeeper over here and you've got a BAS and tax agent over here. This is what we like to provide. Again, it's for people who are particular. On the accounting advice plan, it is the exact same model as the legal advice. You sign up, you get unlimited 30-minute calls whenever you choose with a senior lawyer or an accountant. On the accounting advice plan, we will help you set up through Xero or MyOb, which are partnerships that we have. If you were considering moving on from the Excel spreadsheet to something a bit more professional, I would highly recommend, if you are looking to get an investor or an angel investor moving in these early stages, they will always look at your books. If your books aren't in order, if you're not paying your people right, your clientele or your suppliers or your employees, they won't touch you. So setting up Xero or MyOb will help you with structuring and tax registration, deductions, PayG, payroll setup, how to pay clients, how to pay yourself if you've registered for PayG and you're a company owner and you want to be able to withhold money. Can assist you with that. And then we've also got assistance through BAS and financial forecasting as well. So it's unlimited calls to say, I need assistance with you overlooking my work, or you can just have general conversations and say, hey, look, maybe in the future I'm looking to claim a vehicle underneath my company. How do I register that? How do I determine if I'm going to have enough money to hire my first employee? I'm considering maybe 6 months' time. Do I have the budget? Can you look at this with me and help me build out a strategy? This is all the kind of stuff we cover on the plan. And finally, we have our tax plan. Now, on the tax plan, it isn't like the accounting and legal, where it's very DIY and you're working in conjunction with the lawyer and the accountant. We're just straight up going to be a tax agent for you. We'll do your BAS, tax, and a financial reporting, all that good stuff. We will also throw in personal tax returns for you as well for an extra $100, extra fee there, because obviously we're only based around business. For the legal and the accounting advice plan, which are usually $1,600 per year, because you are a webinar attendee, you are entitled to 20% off. So that brings it to $1,300. Or if you're looking at a more cost-effective approach, we have a quarterly option, bringing it down to about $400 per quarter. So essentially, you'd be paying $400 every 3 months, 4 times a year. Our tax plan, which is sitting at about $2,500, that is also reduced from the usual price because of the webinar discount. And if you'd made a budget and you were prepared to spend some money to build the pillars and the foundations, and you know from previous people or friends or family who have business that you need to start off right with the right legal, accounting, and tax. If you wanted the full bundle, document library, legal, accounting, and tax, we have a partner offer and obviously discounts here that can bring it down to $5,592, single payment, completely tax deductible, and you're set up for your first year of owning a business. That is pretty much everything in relation to how Lawpath can help you. I will break all this down and send it to you via email so you can have a better look if this is something you're considering now or in the future. And without further ado, I do believe I will push this forward into the Q&A. Now, nobody's thrown anything into the Q&A, but we will just go ahead and check the chat, Mash and Alex, to see if anyone's dropped anything in there.
Hey Joel, yeah, there was a question around someone asking what if it's an overseas contractor, an ABN. So that's fine. You don't need an ABN for an overseas contractor because they don't have one because they're working overseas. Some accountants or bookkeepers will ask you to get that overseas contractor to complete a statement by a supplier, but that's for the ATO to be satisfied that they don't have a ABN. That's the level of risk that your accountant or bookkeeper is willing to take. So that's that question. Someone had a question around, I think, trauma coaching training. They're a sole trader and whether they should become a company. Strongly recommend they become a company. Just from the industry, it seems like there could be a lot of liability, latent liability that could come up if you train someone poorly, improperly, and they want to sue you. Ideally, you want that company to be sued and not yourself and all of your assets and personal wealth. So definitely look into transferring into a company for sure. I think those are the only questions I saw.
Does anyone have any questions? Well, if anyone's happy to share, if you are new, if your business has been around for 3 months, or maybe let's say this is your first year of running a business, does anyone have any interesting feedback that they'd like to recommend anyone else starting out, or maybe just something they'd like to throw in there? It'd be interesting. Deidre has a question for Alex. Excellent, Deidre, if you want to drop that in there. And also Soraya has put a question in the Q&A. I think, well, oh, here we go. Just around, so Alex, Deidre's asked just around the security and confidentiality of the system. So we do get this question a lot, being AI driven over here at Lawpath. People will ask us what's happening to our data, what kind of security systems are you using, et cetera, et cetera. Just before you answer that, Alex, I'd like to mention to everyone that with Lawpath, if you are using our AI or any of our systems, we do not house data. ChatGPT is notorious for protecting, keeping data and then reusing it to obviously the positive side is to build off previous questions and things you've mentioned. With Lawpath, we do not save any data. So if you've created contracts for clients on our Essentials plan, if you've asked questions to the chat, it's all erased after you've proliferated and swiped it away. So Alex, is there similar processes over with Notion?
Yeah, it's a similar process as well. However, we are used by both startups, mid-market commercial, and also enterprise. For example, a lot of large enterprises in Australia actually use us and use Notion AI as well. We are also GDPR compliant. I have SOC 2 compliance and also ISO 20700 as well. And so the data that we do house in Notion, you are the only person that can see that data because it's personal information. And so, yes, short answer is yes, we are compliant around data privacy and security. And the cost of Notion, thank you, good question. the cost model is 20 US per person per month. So, and a good question as well, because that segues into, what Notion's offers for this webinar. So actually, we have a partnership going with Lawpath, and we'll send you this afterwards, where you can actually get 6 months of Notion's business plan. So all of the bells and whistles that you saw me demoing for free for 6 months. So we'll send you the link to apply for that. It's a very specific link just for this webinar. And then so you can sign up, apply for that, and then get 6 months of Notion business for free. And then thereafter, you pay 20 US per person per month.
Thank you, Deidre. Thank you, Alex. Alex, James Scobie has asked, James, I know James. Nice to see you again, James. He's asked, does Notion connect to ChatGPT business subscription, i.e. asking ChatGPT for info in your Notion wiki?
Yes, you can connect Notion to your ChatGPT, or you can also use ChatGPT and GPT models from within Notion. So I see it as an extra step if you want to connect your existing ChatGPT to Notion, or you just use it within Notion internally. And so you don't have to like copy and paste or connect it. You can just all use it from that one Notion chatbot that I sent you before. So yeah, we're able to use a bunch of models as well. So not just ChatGPT, but Claude, Gemini, and it prioritizes which is the best model to do the job that you want it to do.
Just out of curiosity as well, Alex, if someone wanted to consider more about Notion, you've obviously got your page there that they could Google, but do you possess any kind of like YouTube presence where people can watch something like this? Do you have tutorials or other functions that people could? Yeah.
Yes, of course. We have a pretty thriving YouTube channel. I'm pretty proud that we're up to 300,000 subscribers for a company's YouTube channel. But we have a bunch of tutorials around how to use Notion AI, how to set up your productivity system, even something as niche as creating a requirements document from within Notion and generating that. So we have a bunch of YouTube tutorials. We also have this thing called Notion Academy, where you can go online, just Google Notion Academy and learn how to use the building blocks within Notion to build what you want. I'm personally a video guy. I like to learn via video and doing rather than reading. And so I find a lot more value in the YouTube channel. Looks like Soraya asked a question around setting up a basic CRM. As you saw before, I used a single prompt. Just create me a projects database that connects to my meetings and my tasks. You can do the exact same thing to build a CRM. You can say, hey, build a CRM for me for my business around selling shoes, for example. And then you can specify what properties you want. For example, maybe you have specific categories of shoes. Maybe it's a loafer, maybe it's a running shoe, whatever it is. Maybe it's a different brand. And so you can specify what types of properties within that or categories that you want to set for your CRM. You can then connect that to all of your meetings that you have. And then also you can connect that with your Gmail or your Outlook, and then have it being referenceable across all of your different tools as well. So you can create a CRM, and then you can also add different views. So maybe you like to have a CRM in a Kanban board view where you can just move it across the stages, or you can have it in a timeline view or a gallery view. It really depends, and it's fully customizable for you. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Beautiful. Thank you, Soraya. Thank you, Alex. Does anyone have any other questions before we wrap up today? Just a reminder, we will have an email going out afterwards. I will throw in that code that Alex has mentioned. I will put in the slides. I'll put in all of our partner offers as well as discounts for our plans, as well as the YouTube link today. Any final questions?
Yes, sorry, corporate-based domains. Like a lot of corporates use Microsoft as their domain or Gmail as their domain hoster, and then they just put their domain. For example, Notion.com is an email that we have, but we actually use Gmail internally. And so, yes, you're able to connect it to all of your corporate domain-based emails as well.
Perfect. I don't think anything else has come through. So Alex and Mash, thank you so much, gentlemen. Mash, thank you for the wisdom, and Alex, thank you so much for dropping in and sharing the good word with Notion. Much appreciated. We do hope to have you back in the future, and hopefully by then we'll have you know something more exotic to go over. Maybe we'll have some actual Notion users by then, so we can just jump into the meat of the processes. But yeah, everyone who attended today, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We do look forward to seeing you again next week. And yeah, if you are in Sydney, please, for the love of God, stay cool. It is boiling today. Thanks, everyone.